Make sure it says we're live. See if we are. Been paranoid since first time it said you're live, and then I wasn't. So, and I was like, "What? We're not live?"
Mm-hmm.
All right. Looks like we are.
Oh, on a second. Hold on a second. Okay. Are we live?
We're about to get rolling right now. Here we go. All right, here we go.
Warning: if you're faint of heart or easily offended, this show is not for you.
I don't give a damn about what you saying, bitch, you in the way. Closed case, my nigga beat the charges like yesterday. In your face, I'ma go hard and make sure you see the cake. Keep the pace, ain't no one fucking with me, this not a race. Doing the shit that I want, I'm never gonna stop, I'm never gonna give in. Making my way to the top, I told you to ride, I told you to get in. Now you can't eat out my pot, it's filled to the top, and I'm about to dig in. You say I was doing you wrong.
All right, we're live. Welcome to the Go Rogue podcast. I'm here with my co-host Hans Berquist, and our guest this evening is Hannah Abba. How we doing?
Hannah Abba, handler extraordinaire.
That's right.
Oh.
So we all just got back from nationals, but you flew down, right, Hannah?
I did.
You did? Yeah. So
I got the VIP treatment.
That's funny because we're driving down, and the whole way down there, Dina's like, "I'm gonna stop at Buc-ee's. I'm gonna stop at Buc-ee's. I'm gonna stop at Buc-ee's." And there must have been traffic or something. And Waze is like famous for rerouting you without like really letting you know. Yeah. So we get down there. It's like 2:00 in the morning. We're like 50 miles from the hotel or 50 miles from Buc-ee's, and I was just like, choose one. Wherever we go, I'm sleeping there. So we ended up to the hotel.
So you took a nap at Buc-ee's?
Just luckily, on the way back, it put us on the regular route, and we passed like 3 Buc-ee's, so she got to stop.
Oh, damn.
Oh.
Because I'll tell you right now, after that damn sausage, brisket, turkey sandwich from Buc-ee's, I'm taking a nap.
It's like 18 hours for us, and we drove straight through, like no stop. Stopped to let the dogs pee, Dina pee, and gas. Yeah, it was rough.
That's
it was rough. On the way back, it was rough.
That sounds painful.
I know the guys took about 24.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta stop and take a nap. You know, it happens. It happens. So let's get into this.
Exactly what they did.
We've had you on a podcast previous, so this probably feel like a recap, really, but this is a new show, new crowd. So, what got you into handling? Sure. Like, where'd you start?
So I started in around 2000s or early 2000s, when the messaging forums were just starting to become rampant, and we kind of found a community. Somebody gave us, one of our friends from college, he was into showing dogs. So showing dogs was not really anything that I grew up around. I had a hard time at convincing my dad to give me a dog or let me have a dog even. So, but a friend of ours did have purebred dogs, and they were actually Labradors and things like that. It wasn't pit bulls or anything. We kind of got into pit bulls just because Jim wanted kind of the biggest, baddest dog in the yard, or in the college. Yeah. So that's kind of how we happened upon our first pit bull.
Right.
$300 pit bull, nothing too special. But he was a pretty dog.
That's like $1,500.
Yeah.
I
mean, I was in college, so this was quite a lot of money.
So that was probably like $5,000 back then. Especially on a college budget.
Yeah.
And surprisingly enough, he gave it to me. So I'm like, ooh, new dog. Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
But because we had that all breed exposure with our friend, they actually brought us to confirmation shows. and we saw a different side of the dogs that we never knew. So kind of like you, Roger, you and Dina,
Yeah.
you know, you started with loving a dog, and then all of a sudden there's this whole different kind of life that people live with show dogs, you know. So yeah. So I sat ringside, I watched handlers, and because these people were big into all breed handling or showing, we got to meet a lot of the very, very good handlers, and that's kind of where it started. We learned, you know, tips and tricks. We watched them. We went to seminars, FCI seminars.
Yeah.
So, you know, trial by fire, I guess. We stepped in the ring. Yeah.
Was that UKC?
No, it's FCI, so it's in the Philippines. So
Oh, okay.
FCI is PCCI, actually. It is, yeah. So like FCI is the umbrella mother company, and then AKC, PCCI for different countries. They have their own clubs under FCI. So
Okay.
if you handle there, if you title a dog there, you can actually bring it here to the US and have it be a Philippine champion or Philippine grand champion, and then in the US.
Nice.
Very nice.
So went to a pit bull club, which is Philippine Pit Bull Club. Yeah, we were a part of that. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
I gotta ask the question: blue nose, red nose,
Sure.
gator mouth, gaff.
Red nose. Well, so I had a, you're touching a topic there. So I had a blue nose, and they love their white head dogs. They love their white head dogs because the white head dogs had bigger head. So appeared to have a bigger head. So they love their white head dogs. The blue color wasn't common. So that was what I had. And then I had a black pit bull. That was my first one. But we fell in love with the old family red nose. Actually, we had when we transitioned over to here, our kennel, we actually bought a old family red nose from a gentleman in California, and we shipped him over to Hawaii, and that was, his name was Playboy.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, a lot of gaff and Sierra lines. That's what we kind of stuck with the bullies. Yeah. So that's where we came from.
And then here, I mean, obviously here in the States, you get involved in American Bullies pretty heavily. And what led you to ABKC? Because you show primarily ABKC, like you do some AKC stuff on occasion, right? Okay. I thought you did.
Some AKC here and there, but not really.
Yeah.
Not really a lot.
So,
UKC I did. Yeah, UKC I did a lot of before I really pushed the ABKC. Yeah.
What had you kind of go that route? Okay,
so how we got into ABKC? So that was actually Jim, from the very beginning, that Claremont show in California. Started there, all the MSN groups. So we were heavy into the ABKC when they started.
Kind of in from the beginning, right? Yeah. Okay.
So we've always been in ABKC ever since they started. You know, we've always had, we've always been in that community. So, yeah.
Now, was it always bullies or different breeds for you in the beginning?
I think they're cutting out. Or am I cutting out?
You cut out.
No, it's probably.
Yeah, you're cutting out here and there.
Did I?
Sorry.
Yeah. So Jimmy's going to have to get off the PlayStation for a minute.
Yeah, you need more bandwidth. You need more bandwidth on the Wi-Fi. When you guys, jumped into the ABKC world, what was it like then? Was it strictly American Bullies? Did they still have the variety of breeds?
They didn't have the variety of breeds. When we got at the beginning of ABKC, it was like a big barbecue.
Right.
And so everybody would come and bring their dogs. There was no varieties. You would just basically, I mean, people would stack their dogs in between their legs. They'd have big collars, spike collars. It wasn't anything formal. It really wasn't anything formal. Yeah, just people coming and showing off their dogs. There was barbecues, there was bounce houses. Kev was there. We used to go to a bunch of the shows here in Lockport, Illinois, and so that there were around ring areas, nothing really solid as far as formality, confirmation format. Like show your dog, get a win. It's yeah.
It's cutting out still a little bit there on us.
Yeah, I think she was saying there was no confirmation, no standard. You stack the dog.
I know I am. Hold on. I'm trying to use. No, I switched to data.
Okay.
I switched to data. I did. I took my Wi-Fi off and it got.
Yep. And she got gone.
Tell Jim he needs to make you an aluminum hat helmet with wire coat hangers sticking off.
She'll jump back in here in a minute.
Yeah.
So we got some questions. When she gets back in here, we'll throw the questions at her. Cutting bad. Yes, she was cutting out bad. Hopefully, when she comes back, she'll try data on her phone instead of the Wi-Fi, and we'll see how that goes.
I mean, that's a long standing with the ABKC.
Yeah, from the beginning.
Seeing the
back.
evolution.
Let's see if this works. So
all the
changes.
Let's see if you're back. Yeah.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, it happens. No big deal. So, Day One Bulls Kennel wanted to know, what was your first nationals?
I don't even remember.
Have you missed any? Have there been nationals you not get to go to?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a time when I kind of stepped back from dogs in general because one, I needed to provide for the family. So I graduated in college. There was a time when I thought I wouldn't graduate that year because I was going to so many shows and doing the dog thing and kennel and all that, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not gonna graduate this year. But I skated by, and but then after that, I really did need to focus on my nursing career, so that's what I did. For a few years, and Jim stayed, but I kept a pulse on the American Bullies. Jim kind of stayed in the forefront of it, but for me myself, I started back handling 2009, 2010. I don't know. I don't even remember anymore. So
took a little break.
Mm-hmm. Took a little
Understandable.
Yeah.
Now, in this
I
community,
had little ones. So.
I hear you. In the community here, you have a reputation of being like the handler that shows the dogs that wins. That's kind of like, if Hannah's in the ring, she's probably got a dog that's going to be in the top running. Now, obviously, your skill set as a handler plays into that, but obviously there are some criteria you hold the dog against before you choose to show. So you don't show every dog that comes up to you, right? That's one of the things is you kind of pick and choose that dog. And what's the kind of the criteria for you to choose that dog? Is it just confirmation, or are you looking for well, as far as behavior, or what are the kind of the criteria you choose from?
Okay, so one of the things when they message me and ask me if I can take their dog or if I can handle them, I ask them if I can evaluate their dog first. Not to say that I want to see if your dog is good or bad. It's just I want to see what I'm working with. And then we have to, of course, when you do your evaluation, you see how they are as far as temperament, And then, of course, the structure. So those are the two most important things. But when you're talking to clients about the structure of their dog, some of them are very oblivious to what's going on. So it's not that you can say, no, I love your dog because of this or because of that. You have to say, well, this is what I'm seeing. This is what the judge might be seeing. And like, say, for example, a little bit in the rear, the turn is not so pronounced. This is what the judge might see. But then at the same time, you don't want to discourage them from trying to put their dog in, because, you know, it might be one of those dogs that the judge might, one of those things that the judge doesn't care too much for, you know, I mean, it's okay with them. Right. So I tell them, okay, this is what I see. I'm going to work, but at the same time, let's try it the first time and see how it goes. Then you can make a decision from there if you want to continue to show this dog or not. But the biggest thing really is the structure. Can they move? Are they not injured? You know, and of course, type, and then temperament.
Right. And then I'm assuming if the owner comes to you and they have a certain level of like expectation, does that kind of throw up a red flag too? Like they bring you the dog and you look at the dog and you're like, and then they have a huge expectation. And that's probably like, you know, kind of throw a red flag up for you. And you're like, well, you know, because you obviously want to deliver, right? So people that have high expectations and maybe their dog doesn't fit the expectation makes it tough.
Yes. Yeah. And that's when it comes in, you know, you have to learn how to talk to people, communicate effectively, because once you start, you know, saying all these, you know, saying bad things about the dog, or it's all the delivery, right, Roger? So it's a delivery. What do I expect? What do I see? What will the judge potentially see? So because if there's that expectation and you haven't even started, that's already a step backwards for you, and as far as working together with that person. I have not taken dogs before because of issues with another, you know, a time with a handler or something like that. But you be wary of those things because it is your name on the line as well. You know what I mean? And like you said, I want to deliver.
That's right. Now, when it comes to nationals,
there are those instances where you're like, you know, you might work better with a different handler, right?
Just
being often said than not.
Yeah, that's right.
You might work with another handler better. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to nationals, obviously there's more pressure than even normal, right? So does that criteria get even more strict when it comes to like maybe you've shown the dog a couple times during 4 or 5 shows, but then they contact you and they say, hey, we want you to show the dog during nationals.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a fine line, because if they have another handler that they've been usually working with, I like to contact the other handler and say, is this okay?
Right.
You know, or have you asked the owner, have you talked to the handler?
Right.
An unwritten courtesy.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always courtesy among handlers. Yeah. That's number one, because you know what, at the end of the day, you might be in the ring, you might need the help of that other handler one time, and if you did something to, you know, step on their toes or burn that bridge, you're not going to have that help.
Right.
You know. Yeah. So people understand that. We kind of had a camaraderie going with the handlers. Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
Somebody, I saw a question. How early should they start training? And that kind of leads into another question, but let's just start with that. How early should they start training the dog? And let's just say, what types of things should they be doing?
Okay. So you can start training your dog fairly early, you know, even just having the dog be attentive to you. Puppies, I think 6 to 20 weeks, that's when their personality is developing. That's where they learn kind of how how it works, what is the relationship, how to communicate with you, how you're communicating with them, how your relationship is working. You know, this is the time the dog is developing their personality. So I think in that sense, between 6 and 20 weeks is a good time to start instilling what you expect of the dog, the pup, you know. And of course, they learn by positive association. So this is where you start introducing little things if they're shy or fearful of things. Because when you're looking in the whelping box, you have those puppies that are super attentive. You know, they run up to the first noise that they see. And then you have the puppies that are kind of like, I don't know about that, you know. So those little things that they're afraid of, you know, or they're shy of, you know, have them go up to it slowly, you know, just little things and positive association with it. So that's where it all starts, is their temperament and personality.
And build their confidence.
Yeah, start building their confidence. The ones that already have confidence, teach them how to kind of reel it back a little bit, you know.
Yes.
Like, you can't always go up to that porcupine and stick your nose in there. It's not a good thing.
And because I know she wouldn't care if I mention it, but we have a friend of ours that has a 7th son, and she may have coddled him a little bit, you know, babied him a little bit. And so when you go to start to train a dog and you've kind of treated the dog like your baby, that makes it a little tougher, you know, right? Because now you're touching him where he doesn't get touched normally.
100%.
You're trying to make him do things he hasn't normally. It's great because you're like, you're being a dog. Just go be a dog and have fun. And that's good. But with the intent of showing the dog, sometimes those kind of behaviors make them a little bit. But, you know, I saw you work with him and you were really starting to bring him around with just a little bit of work, starting to bring him around. So it's not like it was by far, you know, by any means too late. But, and he did very well with Nationals too. So
no, he did.
Yeah.
He did. He's actually a really good dog. Personality-wise, he does have, you can tell. There was windows where I saw him being very confident. But at the same time, I think what he lacks most is that alpha presence. Dogs, not a lot of dogs are leaders. You know, so they want you to lead. So if they don't have that, you're my alpha, you're my leader, you're going to protect me, they tend to be somewhat anxious, especially in like situations like this where there's lots of things going on.
Right. Now, which would you prefer? A less confident dog or an extremely confident dog?
I love extremely confident dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. I love extremely confident because I can curb that. There was one dog I had not too long ago. That dog was very, very confident. The dog would, you know, be like, hey, I'm here, to the other dogs. And if you step yourself in front of her and show her that, hey, I'm here, you can't do that, she would kind of back off. So, you know, those are some of the things that you learn to adjust with dogs, and especially if they're very confident. But I like a confident dog. So much easier to work with.
Yeah, you've actually told me that plenty of times, because you had dogs like super energy dog like Kimber that's just like, you know, she just wants to, like, when the show's over, she wants.
But you see how pretty?
Yeah. Especially when they're going around and the down and back.
And I let her because, you know,
yeah, she's a wild woman for sure.
And I let her bolt out because, you know, she gave me her attention. So I let her have her little, you know, happy moment of bolting out to you, you know?
Yep.
I can't win them all, right? I pick and choose.
Yeah.
I pick and choose my battles.
Let's see. Let me see. Someone wanted to know do you think that the overconfidence sometimes turns into more alpha behavior? more frequently, and I think that maybe that question is more related to like other dogs. You know?
Yeah.
So you don't feel like the dogs are.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit, Roger. What was that?
The guy wanted to know if does overconfidence sometimes turn into like alpha behavior where they're
turn into alpha behavior. Sometimes it does if you allow it to.
Right. I think they they coincide.
If you allow it to.
You know?
Yeah.
A very confident
and
dog
it goes
wants
the
to
opposite direction. Yeah. And then they want to fight everybody, and that's the problem.
Right.
And that's a problem too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably harder.
Yeah. You have
harder
to learn.
build confidence.
I mean, with our dog breed, especially where they come from, you know, you really have to be alpha.
Yeah.
And they have to trust you. That's a difference.
Yeah. Now, J. Rod Kennels wanted to know how to build confidence if the dog isn't interested in treats or toys, so you're having a hard time baiting the dog. I think we're cutting out again.
Sometimes noises, getting their attention with the noise I've seen, or a shiny object.
Yeah.
You know?
We lost her again. Oh, wait a minute. She's on something. She's on a new device now. Hold on.
Hey.
Hello.
Sorry.
Hey, that's
I don't know what's going on.
The internet.
You're like three different guests.
Yeah, that's right. So,
hey.
J.
Multiple
Rod
personality disorder.
J. Rod Kennels wanted to know, how do you build confidence in a dog that isn't interested in treats or toys?
Okay. So this is where you pay attention to a dog and pay attention to what perks them up. So it doesn't even have to be treats or toys. It can be the owner. It's like there's times when I've had the owner stand, ringside. I'm like, stand right there, because I know the dog's confidence will be built, will be up 100% if they see their owner in front of them. Yeah. And then another thing to build confidence too is repetition in what you're doing. The dog being able to communicate with you, like training, those are all good things to build confidence, even if they're not treat driven or toy driven. If they can communicate with you, if they can, if they know what you want from them and they're able to please you that way, that builds a ton of confidence. And just keep putting them in situations where you show them that they can trust you.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all confidence builders.
So Mike Green wants to know, what does prep look like leading up to an event, and how does prep differ from nationals?
Oh, this is a fun topic for me. Hey. Okay. Hi, Mike. So prep going into shows. So I usually start my prep with my client dog about 6 weeks before. So everything from the coat to nutrition to grooming to nails. And I watch everything that they do like a hawk. So I know exactly how much their intake is. If they're not eating, there's certain things I do. And there's multiple things that I do if they don't eat. Because you can't just bring them into the ring, like prepping them 2 days before and expect them to look their best. You know what I mean?
Right.
So with the grooming, I make sure that, is there any hair that's missing? Do I need to put extra ointment on it? Do I need to start giving them, coconut oil, things like that. So those are all the groomings and preps 6 weeks before. And then, putting fish oil in their food, things like that.
And then you actually take the dogs to classes to not
yes,
only
and that's one thing too.
Yeah, actually interact with other dogs. Like, you have like a multi-breed class that they go to.
So I take them to class. Yeah. Because a lot of these dogs, they come off. Sorry.
It's a good way to desensitize them.
There's a little delay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they should already be desensitized because they should have been already running around in the ring, during the year. But some dogs, they sit in the sidelines and then, they start to be like, oh, you want me to do this again? I mean, what do you want me to do?
Right.
Then they kind of forget what they need to do. So class is always a good refresher for them. And then, like you said, desensitizing them and making sure that they're okay and they remember what they're supposed to be doing in the ring with you.
They thrive off routine. Our dogs thrive off routine. They know what kennel they're sleeping in at night. They know when it's time to eat. If their job is to do a certain act in the ring, the more frequently you do it, the more it's a part of their normal routine.
Looks like we get yes back.
Mercy said shove a cheeseburger down their throat.
Yeah. That works too. That's funny. Let me see. So I do have questions. Maybe I'll go back to them. We had so many questions in the comments. I was like, we just go on those. So typically when you're campaigning a dog, and I don't mean just like they bring it to one show or two, but you'll take on a dog and campaign. You actually do multiple shows. Do you frequently restrict that to just one dog? Or have you ever, do you campaign multiple dogs? Like maybe it's a Frenchie and a bully or different class dogs?
I have done French and a bully, so Zero and Smokey from last year. And they both became top dog. So I did that, but the owner actually went with me to the shows. So she was able to we were able to do multiple shows because she would fly out with her dog and I would handle the dog. Plus I had Zero with me. So, I've been able to do that. I typically like to take only one campaign dog, truly because I can focus on that dog and make sure everything is good and it has all the care and all the attention on that one dog because they stay in the house with me too. So they have their own space and everything.
Gotcha.
And as far as, prepping. I forgot. One thing I noticed about quite a few dogs, going into the ring, they have brown paws. I mean, it's good to start doing the whitening shampoo probably a few weeks before and continuously do it throughout the 6 weeks that you're kind of, taking care of the dog or prepping for nationals.
Yeah, because when a dog's not showing, it's being a dog. They get dirty.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people see dogs in the ring and they think, well, this dog looks like this all the time. And that's not necessarily the case.
No, they like the mud. I'll tell you, they love the mud.
They love the mud.
Yeah, Safari Empire wanted to know,
dogs,
is it possible to send a puppy to a trainer for like a boot camp, which in essence you do that also. But typically, how old were you recommended before? Like, you want the dog to establish a relationship with the owner prior to doing some kind of, training, or do you care if it's like a younger pup?
Well, I would prefer the pup stay with the family until it gets a little older, just because it builds a relationship with the family too. Because if you send it off to the trainer and it comes back to you, it's like they didn't build that relationship with you between the 6 and 20 months that its personality is developing. I would say for me as a handler, I like my pups coming to me maybe 4 or 5 months. So at least, at that time, they're closer to their show age, which is 6 months. They can start gaining points. But it also, too, depends on what their growth is. If they still look very, very puppy, if they still have that very puppy, body and muscle tone and whatever, I would recommend that maybe wait a little bit more, a little longer. But I do teach my potential clients and what to do in the home to kind of prep them to come to me. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then this was another question that what typically is the cost around, and I know we wanted to bring up cost as far as showing, cost as far as major shows versus a regular show versus training. Like what is what's that typically look like?
Well, cost, it depends. It starts at $2,000 for me a month. So it starts at. So that doesn't include bringing the dog to shows, and it's all structured. How I structure it is, okay, what shows do we have this month? Where do you want me to go? And then we kind of build it from there. I take care of the food, the confirmation class, all of those things are all included in that amount. And then also, if we start showing during that month, it's a little bit of a different pricing. So that's where some handlers, they charge $800, some $1,000. I feel because I only have that one dog that I'm focusing on at the time, that's what I charge the owner.
Right.
Now, Mike,
but that dog's getting 100%.
Right.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Every day, all day. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Mike also brought up: do you think the dog should wait until it hits age of its actual class before starting the show, or do you think that like 9 to 12 area is a good place to start showing?
Can I just throw something out there?
9 to 12. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel it depends on the breed. Like a bulldog is going to be a bulldog. A Frenchie is going to be a Frenchie. It doesn't have a variety it's going to fit in, right? But the American Bully it's its own entity. So.
Well, the American Bully has so many different varieties, and looks. So, I mean, it's the way it is. Some dogs, they would look better in the classic class, and maybe waiting until they're a year where they can just smash it, instead of spending all that money and trying to beat the standard, because we've all gone to shows and we've all walked in and holy cow, that's a 6 to 9.
Right.
Like Blue.
Right.
My boy Blue, he was huge in the 6 to 9 month class. He looked like a whole ass grown dog.
Right.
So yeah, there are some dogs that would look perfect for the standard class, and there's some dogs that just you should just wait. Absolutely. You always play it smart, dog showing is strategy. It's strategy. I mean, you don't realize when you bring a dog out, it's all strategy. Like Zero, he went out a year and a half. That became a strategy,
And that depends on how the dog develops. In the case of Precious, was a good example. She was going to get extreme. We knew she was going to get really short. So we felt like the quicker you could get her in the ring, get it done, the better, right? Because the older she got, the crazier she was going to get. And of course, I was dead wrong. She's still fine, but at the time, I'm like, this dog's going to get crazy. But some dogs,
7,
some dogs don't really develop until they're 2 years old. So the dog wouldn't be at a huge disadvantage in the puppy class, but by the time it's a year and a half or 2 years old, now it's perfect for that class it's supposed to be in. So Sometimes it's good to hold them back. Sometimes it's good to wait.
Right.
Sometimes it's good to get them in there early.
And a lot of people don't understand. Yeah.
Somebody asked if it was too late to start at 2.
And some people don't understand. Like in AKC, they start. Yeah. In AKC, they start relatively well. They start young, but I mean, their show careers are until they're like 8 years old. Sometimes,
Wow.
6 to 8. They're still showing their dogs. So
now, typically, what is
with
the
bullies? They generally stop at 4 or 5, 4, like the most.
Right.
I was just about to ask it. Perfect. Let me see what else we have here. Puppy from sitting in the ring. That's a good one because you taught me this one. What are some tips to keep a puppy from sitting in the ring?
Your foot.
Yeah, your foot. Okay, so actually, somebody came up to me at this Nationals, actually. It was at he messaged me before the Nationals. But he said, I have a dog that likes to squat. Like, they'll put their foot there, but he'll rest his midsection on his foot. I'm like, okay. And then I said, let me see you do it. And of course, the dog didn't do it, of course. But I kind of saw what he meant, where the dog would kind of slowly squat onto his foot. You could put your foot under the dog and kind of tap it. There's some dogs that respond to that because they don't like their tummy tap. There are some dogs where I've actually had to hold them up down there. I had to kneel next to the dog and kind of hold them in that area so that they don't move. Don't wonder what I'm doing there. There's also sometimes where they have to find their balance. So how the dog follows the head. So if you put the head a certain way, their body follows and they don't feel like they need to squat. So if you can do that with the bait and with their head and moving and positioning them, that's also something you can do for them to not squat. And we found out that's what it was. When he wasn't going for the bait, I said, pull your hand away from his face. Pull the bait away from his face and see what happens. So when he did that, the dog actually stood very still and didn't try to squat onto his foot.
Nice.
So, yeah. Because some dogs, if you put the bait too close to them, they stretch and they try to get it, right? So their back legs are moving and then they slip and then But for this dog, I just said, okay, put the bait in front of them, show them it's there, but then move your hand further away from it so it doesn't feel like they won't feel like they want to go after it because they're just going to look at it because it's too far. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Adam Field wants to know, what is your favorite bait? And I know from dealing with you that you have quite a variety.
There's not. Okay, so liver is good. Steak. Stella and Chewy is my all-time favorite. I love Stella and Chewy. Most of the dogs love it. And those are freeze-dried, either chicken, beef. There's salmon. There's a bunch of them. Stella and Chewy, and then there's cheese. Yeah, there's duck. But those are all good treats to have. And then, like I said, treats it might not be even a treat that they like. It could be a squeaky toy. It could be a person that they love. Those all can be your bait. Yeah. So.
Just the FYI, the Stella dehydrated chicken doesn't taste that bad.
So how would you know this? From experience?
Sometimes these shows don't have food.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't, I mean, you got to do what you got to do to stay,
that's right.
Sustained.
My blood sugar was getting low.
Oh, God. That's okay. That means you had a lot of nutrients going into you. Bones and everything.
Yep.
Mike wanted to know, does
Yeah.
obedience training hinder the performance of the dog? I'm assuming in the ring.
No, but there is one thing that obedience trainers do teach you, and that's sit.
Yeah.
And that's a very hard thing to undo. So I usually tell them, okay, fine, yeah, you can do obedience training with your dog, but please tell the trainer not to teach him to sit. Yeah, because then you have to undo that when you're in the ring, and that's a very difficult thing to undo.
Yeah.
And that's what we did when we first started.
But I don't think it's a hindrance. And if anything, I think it's a good thing.
When we started, we brought Kimber to you. We actually had a local obedience trainer. She didn't necessarily do show training, but she did obedience training. So we allowed her to do that and told her, do not teach her sit, And then I felt like that gave you a little bit of a heads up when we brought the dog to you. If you didn't have to teach her how to walk on a lead and teach her to stop when you say stop and all this other stuff. So
yeah,
I think it's definitely beneficial.
Yeah, definitely beneficial. Yeah.
So typically, if someone wants
and
to,
like I said, it's a.
Go ahead. The delay is messed up. We got it. Go
ahead. And like I said, it's a communication thing. Yeah, it's a communication thing between you and your dog too. So if they do obedience training, they learn how to communicate with you. They know how to communicate with people who are going to be handling them. So that builds confidence as well. Going back to that.
So I was going to ask, if someone wants you to handle their dog, should they reach out to you like a week or two before the show, or are they just going to show up at the show and be like, hey, there's Hannah, and take their dog over there?
Well, I book up pretty fast, as people already have learned. People usually hit me up quite in advance because they know that typically the popular classes are already booked up. So I mean, I would say message me pretty well in advance if you want me to handle your dog. But the only problem is I usually know if I'm going to be at a show maybe about 3 months before. Yeah, so that's the only thing. And I usually post it. Okay, I'm taking clients for the show. And then boom, right there, people just message me right away.
And sometimes they can get lucky if a dog drops off for some reason. You might have a hold of it. So this year at Nationals,
that is true as well. So don't give up.
Yes, right. Yeah. But this year at Nationals, we had that, influenza or whatever it is, bug scare. And we did have a few people kind of drop off here and there. I know when we had Dave Wilson on the previous show, he talked about, a few people said that they weren't going to come. Did you have any dogs drop off that you were planning on showing because of it?
Yeah, that was pretty sad.
Yeah.
But we respect everyone's decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not if they think that they don't want to put the dog's health in front of any going to a show. So you can't judge anybody for that, for sure.
Yeah. And if they had a sick dog, I wouldn't want them to be bringing their sick dog around either. So.
Right. Yeah, I think someone else had mentioned they had just had a litter, so they weren't going to bring their dogs out because they didn't want to bring them back home and eventually bring something home to the litter. So completely understandable there.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah.
So what does 2024 look like?
No hard feelings.
For Hannah.
2024. Well, many of you know that I do have a full-time job as well as doing handling. So there are some things that I have to do at work, government-wise, mid-year. So hoping to do a few shows, maybe 2 shows a month until then, and then I can kind of, look at doing more. But we're gonna take it easy. The the first half of the year.
Gotcha.
This
You
is-
currently have any dogs you're campaigning for 2024?
Hello, can you hear me?
Did you hear that one?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I hear
Yeah,
you.
we got
I hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, he wanted to know if you had any dogs already lined up to campaign for 24.
I do.
Wow. Okay.
I do.
Good.
Yeah,
this
they
is
wasted no time.
That's right. I don't know what this is. Such an interesting question. I just have to let you see it. What color pants should you wear when you're showing?
I love that. I love that. It depends on your dog.
Matching the fur color, right?
So if your dog
So,
has
yeah.
no, well, yes.
As a
Well,
handler,
okay,
though,
so it depends.
as a handler, you're handling multicolored coats every show.
Yeah, yeah. So a blue or something that's not the color of the dog. I've used black, but then I'm aware that I'm using black and I handle a certain way. It's a little bit different if I have a black dog. So when you're choosing the color of your outfit for your dog, you have to take into consideration what you're trying to highlight on the dog as well. If the dog has a little bit of a dip in the withers and it's a black dog, you kind of want to wear black pants so you can kind of hide that a little bit.
Right.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
But if they have a phenomenal top line and it's a fawn dog, you want to wear black to highlight that.
Right. The contrast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I got you.
I mean, blue's the same color. Blue, you can handle multiple dogs with the color blue or off-white even. Or like Stanford.
Neon gray.
He wears white all the time. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, you are so brave. Brave soul.
I don't know how his stuff's not completely ruined at the end of the show.
No, and he looks phenomenal at the end of the evening. It's amazing. He doesn't look dirty at all.
Someone wanted to know how can they get their handling career started? Like hindsight, would you change anything, and how would you recommend someone getting into it?
No, I wouldn't change anything because I've learned everything that I know now, and it's I like the position I'm in. But
Right.
How to get your career started? I think the best thing is to really put yourself out there. Experience is the best thing you can do for yourself. Even if the dog's not perfect, try getting in that ring. Keep doing it, because once you start doing it, you build that confidence in yourself that, okay, I can do it. And then, once you feel like you can handle quite a few different types of dogs, because handling is not just handling easy dogs. You have to handle the hard dogs for you to grow, So once you feel like you've handled enough of those difficult dogs, try to see what you can do about, and then you can start saying, okay, I'm going to charge this much for my handling, and it's really up to you. What you want to charge for your handling. It's what you feel that you're worth, basically, at that point in time. There's some people who say, why do they charge so much? These other handlers who haven't done anything. Well, that's what they feel. So if people hire them, people hire them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
So whatever you charge is what you feel you're worth,
And that's it. The ability to make a dog look the best they can look, right? Experienced handlers can do that. You may be new at handling. Like if I show one of my dogs, they don't look nearly as good because every dog in the stack can be stacked slightly differently to make them look the way they're supposed to look. Where you as an inexperienced person, you just won't represent the dog to its full potential. So you can't ask a premium price, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the greatest
Yeah, it's true.
qualities
It's true.
of a professional handler is acknowledging a dog's attributes and enhancing them in the show ring, right? This dog may have a beautiful front end,
and you
but
know what?
it doesn't have
That
the greatest rear end. So I'm gonna stack the hell out of this front end. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what, too? When you start as a handler, as you're starting, as you're, working on your skill and all that, if you start winning, people start noticing you and they'll just come up and ask you, hey, can I pay you to handle my dog? That's usually how it happens. And then that's when you kind of be like, oh, I'm kind of there in this position, where I can charge for my handling.
And Dina, now people are coming up to Dina and be like, will you stack my dog?
I mean,
I think the passion is between her and Seven, but
hey, but people can't help but notice.
Yeah, she's a stack queen.
She does a hell of a job. She does a hell of a job with that dog.
She's the stack queen.
Now, Brad the Beard wants to know, do you think it benefits to train the dogs on free stacking without a lead as well when you're in the ring stacking? That way you don't have to put so much effort into it.
You mean off lead?
Yeah, I think
there's really no
right.
Yeah, well, there's really no scenario in the ring where you would be off leash. I mean, people try to do that all the time, where they take the leash off the dog and leave the dog in the middle of the stack, and I'm like, no, it's not a good look for anybody. But I mean, you can teach him how to do that. But the thing with that is, your leash is the way you tell the dog where you want them to be or how you want them. If you want them to step one more step, so a leash is very beneficial when you're teaching them to free stack.
Right.
There's some truth.
Because if you move a leash here, they're going to move a certain way. If you move a leash here, they're going to move a certain way. So I think training with a leash is more beneficial than training on free stack without the leash. But you can leave the leash, leave it, taut. I mean, not taut, but leave it hanging a little bit, less pressure on the neck. You can do that. But it's easier for you to correct the dog with the leash on.
WV Beetle said, Dina has years of experience in training Roger, though.
I didn't see a leash last time I was hanging out with you, bro.
There's some things we don't make public.
He's learned to free stack.
He's
learned to free stack, Hans.
No leash, that's good.
He really wants to know if Zero misses the ring.
Yeah, he does. He does.
I can say this. I miss Zero.
He's a dog that loves to work.
Yeah. And he really, because he came up in it. Yeah, that's what he's done. That's what he's done all his life. Yeah. There we go. I think I know the answer to this one, but we'll put it out there. Would you ever consider becoming a judge?
Well, I've been asked many, many, many times to become a judge, but I enjoy the handling aspect of it. I enjoy the competition and the sport. Would I consider it? Yes, possibly when my back doesn't work anymore or I have arthritis in my hands. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
but
hold on.
For now,
those judges go through it though. The constant bending over, kneeling.
Well, then I have no hope. No, I'm just kidding.
They touch more dogs than you do.
I'll be like,
maybe just Frenchies.
You're the ones on the table. They're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. We need to sign a petition for ABKC to have ramps for the smaller dogs. No, just kidding.
Oh yeah. No. I agree. We'll do like elevators.
Like the bulldogs and the pocket-sized bullies,
Little dumb waiters.
then I would have to buy ramps because my dog would freak out if I'd be like, "What?" They'd try to jump off. Ooh.
So Hannah, we know you campaign dogs. We know you're a professional handler. You show people's dogs. But do you show people how to show?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's gone again.
Oh no.
She'll come back. We've been having some technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I'm sure she's been offered or asked multiple times to train someone to be a handler, you know,
Oh, I'm
as
sure.
opposed to just handling their dog. So I'm sure somebody out there wants to know the answer to that.
See if she makes it back here. I think we have the new Hannah. She's here. She went to
Hannah 4.0.
Yep, she's gone.
Oh, yeah.
She was there for a minute. There she is. Let's see. We'll get her right back in.
Yeah.
You're there. Hi.
Yay.
Welcome to the show.
I had to touch up my makeup, guys.
There you go. That's fine.
I'm just kidding.
Now we have to reset the whole hour.
Oh, damn. Like I said, it's like another person every 20 minutes.
Did you catch my question, Hannah?
Training someone, right?
Yeah, yes.
Is that one? Okay. I want to train people who I think might benefit from what I teach them, because I've tried telling people, certain things, and there are certain people who take it and I see them do it, and there's certain people who are just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, and then they just keep doing the same thing. So I want to train somebody who I know is going to take whatever I teach them and apply it. So that's the biggest thing with me.
Right.
I've had in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm going to teach this handler how to do this or do that, and I've done it, but I haven't trained like one person yet, so I'm waiting for that special person to come my way. Because it's something that you really can't force.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see the talent in that person, and I go up to them and I say, hey, I want to teach you how to handle, that would be an amazing experience for me. And I want it to be an amazing experience. So it's not something that I can really force, but I do teach people. Yeah.
And that's, we've had the conversation about co-owning, and it kind of falls in the same realm. If you're a breeder, people ask about co-owning, and you're like, it's not just selling you a dog on a co-own. It's you become part of the network, right? So
yes.
we're taking on the responsibility of teaching you all the stuff that you probably don't know, and because of that, we need you to be dedicated to it. And
absolutely.
Basically falls into the same scenario for you. Yeah, I'm willing to teach somebody, but it has to be a person. If you throw them a little bit and they take off with it, and you say, hey, I gave them a little bit of info and they really picked it up, they're really trying, okay, I'll give them a little more. But sometimes you'll throw them a bone and they don't respond.
Right.
Yeah.
The drive and dedication has to be
okay, and then
yeah.
Absolutely. There's a few people who I've actually taught. Every time I see them, I'll teach them something new. I'll teach them something new. I'll say, try this way, try that way. There are certain people who, and they're amazing handlers. And now, I see them flourish. So, and they really took what I taught them. But yeah, I haven't had somebody that's come with me and just go to every show,
right?
Which I would definitely love to do one day.
I know a lot of junior handlers. You reach out to them and kind of help them as they progress and learn. And that's really probably the easiest way for a kid to get into it, is to get into that junior handler program.
Yeah.
And then just surround yourself. You go to shows, all the the adult handlers are there. there, they're always willing to help the kids. So I think if you're a younger person and you get into handling, that junior handler program is huge.
Yeah. And I wish they put a little bit more time into it, because that is an amazing program for them. I mean, you know how many kids are either troubled or, you know, they don't have anything good going in their life, and they love dogs, and it's something that they can get into, you know. So
keep them out of trouble.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, Jack has been every week on the show. Jack comes on and asks about ramps. So when you brought up ramps, Jack, Jack has been kicking our ass.
Jack, you're still young. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm like, why does he want ramps? He's what, 16 or something, 15?
And he's a youngin'.
You got plenty of energy. Yeah, J-Rod said she needs a YouTube channel. I'm like,
yeah. Oh, we watched him grow up in the ring too, that one.
Yep. Someone asked me to make Euro Nationals.
I do. Jim and I are working on some things.
Ooh. Working on some things. Yeah, someone said something about mentoring a junior handler, which obviously you do, and a lot of times. I've seen that a lot. Do handlers tend to work only with certain breeds? Seems hard to find ABKC handlers, and I don't know what breed with, but you're all bully breeds, right? You show all bully breeds.
Yeah. Breeders, seems hard to find ABKC handlers.
I mean, there's handlers at every show. There's available handlers at every show.
Yeah, but there are some handlers that only work with bullies. There are some handlers that only work with. I haven't seen. I mean, for me, I handled all the breeds, so.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some handlers that do only want to work with bullies, though.
Yeah.
Just because they're not comfortable, they don't know the standard of the other breeds, or the silhouette, for that matter.
The silhouette, right?
Yeah.
Jack said he's 21. Jack said.
Yeah, we watched you grow up in the ring, Jack.
I'm damn right. Blows my mind that it's 21.
Yeah. Oh, so you want the ramp for the XLs? How make this make sense?
They can drag the ramps in.
Yeah, for the XL, right? So they're like this tall.
Right. Don't need a ramp. We don't need an undercarriage inspection on those dogs.
Right.
So we're waiting for some more questions to come in, but we will cover a couple things. We want to say congratulations to Devin on her win. Nationals. Amazing.
Lee Bullock with his boy Hangman.
And you can see just how emotionally invested in that dog she was. You know, when she won, I mean, it hit her. You know, you could just tell. And that kind of passion is really what we look for in a handler. And, you know, you have branded several of my dogs, and, you know, you always have that reaction, like that pure joy. And that's one thing that really always impressed me about that. But yeah, she's super passionate about that one. And then was a hero. Took
Christine.
Christine. Oh my gosh.
So impressive.
The reserve, and technically she is a junior handler, so that is huge. I mean, that is absolutely.
That's huge.
Huge. So congratulations.
We've never had a junior handler win, so that was history making. Right. There's never been a junior that's won even reserve best in show or best in show in nationals. So,
but
hats off to her team.
For sure.
She's phenomenal. She's phenomenal.
And she is, I think she is a handler technically that only shows.
Yes. Who?
Destiny.
Oh, I'm sorry, Destiny won.
Oh,
What did
Destiny.
what she won? Yeah, I forgot about Destiny. I'm so sorry. But yeah, she did. She did an amazing job. And this is with Zero's grandpa. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hannah at the Liddy show.
Yeah, Miss Destiny. She's an amazing handler too. Like spot on, knows every little detail about dogs as well. So.
It's an interesting comment. It said, I saw Hannah at the Lodi show. And I was in the ring with her in the male pocket class, and she was very professional, and I learned just watching her, which is a good point. Just being in the ring around experienced handlers, and I know what little bit I've learned is just like I watch you do it, and I'm like, I see what she's doing there. Okay, so
yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen people stand ringside, and then it was funny because Isaac Barbercats, I was like, hey, that handler is doing exactly what you're doing, and I'm like, huh. And he was like, yeah, from the way you're running to the way you're, the steps that you're taking, and I'm like, huh.
Well, what do they say? Imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. I am ecstatic because those things work. They work in making the dog look beautiful. So I'm just excited for those people who learn how to do it, watching what I do.
Tiffany wanted to know, how many hours a week typically are you working with a dog to get it ready for a show?
A week. So I keep my training sessions short and sweet, multiple times throughout the day, and then in class. So in class, usually it's about an hour and a half, twice a week, and then every day. It's just repetition more than anything.
Right. And it's more of we could say it's more of a lifestyle thing, right? It's not even a job anymore. It's just part of life. Like, this is what you do.
Yeah.
This is what we do Tuesday. Yeah. This is what we're doing Thursday. For the rest of our life.
No, we walk them. They go with us to the store. Just different things. Yeah.
Right.
And then I did want to bring up something different about nationals. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but it was something that I saw happen that I've never seen happen. When they were announcing the dogs, they were kind of announcing the accolades of the dogs at the same time. And I thought, that's unusual. Like, I've never heard that before. I wonder if you had an opinion on that.
So typically our MC was Bully the Kid, and he would just go through the grands and introduce the grands' names, or the champions. I don't know how he did that, but he remembered every single dog's name. But he would just introduce them, but there wouldn't be any accolades behind it or any kind of. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It depends, I guess. I've never seen that happen either at a national stage where they announced, oh, this is the number 1 dog, oh, this is the number 2 dog, because typically you want the judge to have a free mind of just looking at the dogs and not having anything in the back of their anybody announcing who those dogs are and what their accolades are. So you want them to be unbiased, basically. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing.
It's hard to hide what dog's ranking is if you are deeply invested in the registry you work for, right? That judge is going to know who
typically
the number 1
that's
dog
true.
is, the number 2 dog is, the number 3 dog. Right. I wouldn't say it's.
But you're not supposed to.
Guiding them. You're not supposed to, right? It's a clean slate every time.
Right.
A dog
but then you don't know.
Walks into the ring.
Yes. Right. But I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. It depends, I think, on the judge too, because some judges are able to just tune out all the noise and just judge, what's in front of them without any kind of outside help or any kind of influence. And I saw this judge, how he was judging this weekend. He really did take his time and really did look at the dogs.
He was extremely thorough. Extremely
thorough.
And he was an international judge.
Yeah.
So
So he really did take his time and really did look at the dog. So it didn't seem like his decision was swayed which way or the other, one way or the other.
I mean, and a lot of these dogs he's never seen before.
yeah, personally, he probably had not. No, that's true.
You know,
That's true.
so I'm sure he was, he wanted to perform, due diligence and give every dog chance possible to, gain his vote.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt about it. He did an amazing job with the dogs. Even right there at the end, he just thoroughly broke down group of genders, sent them down and back together, so he could see the dogs move side by side.
Yeah.
One moved the best of the two.
Yeah.
He definitely put them to the test.
Yeah.
And not like I said, not to say that I thought that was wrong or bad necessarily, but I thought it was definitely different.
Interesting. Yeah, it was different. I've never seen that. Because typically dog shows you want to give the judge an opportunity to have an unbiased opinion too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So.
And we're going to go through some of these questions real quick just to make sure, but we are we're about 8:30, so we don't want to keep you all night, but we'll see through these questions, see if we missed anything. So you do have plans for 24. Sounds like you have some puppers lined up already.
Yeah, I do. Very exciting.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, let me see, I don't know. Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss on or touch on?
As far as, I don't know. I think we pretty much covered most of it.
Drop your contact info, and how can people get a hold of you?
Yes, that would be good.
You can get a hold of me on Facebook. Facebook more than anything. I do have my website where I have all my rates and information that you can view and peruse. It has all my reviews and all that on there too. So www.presentedbyhannah.com. That's my website. As far as getting a hold of me, though, the best place is really Facebook Messenger. Yeah, and that's Hannah Ankahas Aba.
And that's exactly the best way to get a hold of Jim also.
Through Hannah.
I think
we shouldn't have said that out loud.
Yeah. I think we might lose her one more time. When she comes back, I do have a question for if we get her back one more time. And then maybe we'll let her go after that. We'll have Jim work on the internet for the next show.
You need to call Comcast or Spectrum, whatever you got going on.
You must have
my Comcast.
There you are. You're back.
I
did. It actually struck me. I did have one more question.
I have DSL.
Oh, DSL.
Yes.
Girl, you need to upgrade.
They got no fiber.
Yeah. But I do have one more question for you, if you're still with us. You recently did a post and you talked about generational champions, breeding to generational champions.
Sure.
And I wonder if you'd like to touch on that subject a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So people, we have every time after the shows, people are like, oh, you don't have to go to the show. You don't have to be in the show ring for your dog to be used. So why put your dog in the show ring, But a lot of people, it's confirmation shows are for your breeding stock. So they're like, well, even if we don't breed to those dogs, even if we have a dog that's not titled, we can still breed to them. Yeah, that's fine. But if you want to compete, I mean, look at the facts of it, I mean, like I posted on Facebook, the 2021 Nationals winner produced the 2023 National winner. Zero produced a bunch of winning dogs in Nationals this year, So those are some of the things that you have to look at when you want to create a dog that's whole, you know, or as whole as it can be, or as near perfection as you can. You have to use those dogs.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't say that it's guaranteed, but you have a bigger chance. It's an educated guess.
Right.
You know.
And you know, if you are breeding, if you're breeding the American Bully,
Mm-hmm.
you can have any vision in the world as long as it is to the standard, right?
Yeah.
And if you're breeding to the standard, might as well breed to a dog that exemplifies that standard and has a title.
And has been tried and tested and proven and been through the fire and been given the stamp of approval from the registry saying, okay, yes, this is an American Bully that you should be using because this is more towards that standard of the American Bully that we have. So,
and we're not saying necessarily that only titled dogs are worthy of breeding. No.
Right.
There are many dogs out there that if you're a breeder and you look at the phenos types of dogs that you want to create and you match these dogs, you can come up with a dog worthy of being in the show ring, right? But it doesn't matter what your vision is as long as you're breeding towards the standard.
Right.
And I
mean, some people like
delay things. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
But no, I brought up an interesting point because, you know, when I had a conversation with Dave Wilson, you know, it kind of compounded that and said, you know, at such a young age of the breed, at just, you know, 17 years old, what's represented in the ring isn't necessarily the ideal version of the breed. But what it is and what's being rewarded and what's being put up as champions and grand champions represent dogs that represent what you should be using. So the ring is more the breed stock of the breed and not necessarily, if you look at a breed that's like 100 years old, right? That ring represents, supposed to represent the perfect version of the dog, or as perfect as it can be. But with a young breed, the show ring more represents dogs you should be using to produce that next generation. That's why they're being rewarded, because they represent what is that version of the dog, you know, for the breed. Right. So I thought it was there because a lot of people think, the dog goes in the ring.
That's what I say, you know.
Good. What's the noise? You go ahead. You with me still? Uh-oh.
Oh, well, yeah, that's you know, when yeah, I'm with you. Hello. Am I here? Hello.
Gotcha.
Hey, hello. Am I here?
Yeah, you're here. Yeah. Nope, you're not. Boom. Gone like that. She'll come back. I have confidence. And
maybe we should
okay.
So there we go.
Get two cans and some string.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll go old school.
Hello.
But no, I just finished that.
I'm actually using a can to prop up my light. So
okay. No, I just finished that thought about, you know, what the dogs in the ring represent right now versus what they'll represent maybe 100 years from now. And then you were about to say something and lost you.
Part, but they might not be the finished product, but now, you know, now we've established exactly what we're looking for, you know, because when you look at the standard, it's written, right? It's written. So what if I give you a piece of paper and I say draw the dog that's on this that this standard is explaining, you're not going to know what to draw, right? So you need to know the history of the breed to be able to apply the standard. So knowing the history of the breed, applying the standard, and now we're in the era of refining it, right? Because we know the blues, the zeros, the Samsons, the bears, you know, we know what they're supposed to look like now. Our eyes are more trained to what they're supposed to be looking like. Now we need to refine them.
Right. And then use the tools that are available to us to do that. Yeah. Good example is females. People have some excellent females. They have great movement, but obviously they're lacking a little bit.
Yeah.
And they should be looking to those males that can bring that extra mass, bone, whatever they need, and vice versa. Maybe you have a dog that has a ton of mass and it fits the picture as far as the dog's concerned, but it doesn't move as well. So now you want to breed to a dog that moves better.
Right.
Right.
But then there are, and nothing is exact. Like you have dogs that are like, let's say Waffle House. He has big dogs behind him. He produces big dogs. Those are scenarios that you have to take into consideration. So breeders, gosh, I salute you. I salute you 100% for trying to create, something exceptional. If we don't have breeders, we have nothing.
Right.
And that's the goal, right? It's just next year come up with something that is in the next level. You know what I mean? And that's tough. It's very tough.
Yeah. Yes.
It's winning the lottery.
Or be able to maintain that level that now has been set.
Right.
The precedent that has been set. Yeah.
Well,
it is. Well, it almost feels like it. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really the issue, right?
Because it takes a lot to have a winning dog. Yeah.
Exactly. And that in itself is the issue. It may have been easier in previous.
But too, some people do have that lottery dog and they don't have the team behind it to be able to push it to the next level.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. But last few years it's become harder and harder because of the zeros and because of the blues. Now they're starting to hit the target, so now there's more demand for people to actually build that again and keep building it and keep bringing it. Before those big dogs came, it wasn't as well defined, so it's a little bit easier for people. So now the bar is set very high.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 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 The bar has been set very, very high. But that's a good thing.
Yeah. 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 The most important thing is at this point is that we just don't go backwards. And she's gone.
Yeah.
Been a rough one.
Yeah. It's snowing pretty bad where I'm at. I gotta concentrate on driving.
All right, brother.
All right.
We'll see you.
All right. Thanks.
Bye. All right. Rick, you're back.
Hello.
There we go. Let me see here. You good? I hear you.
Hold on a second.
Hold on, my. She's coming back. We can hear her, we just can't see her. So if you guys have any final questions for Hannah, get those in the question box. I will throw those at her right when she comes back. And we'll see. Oh, all right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Great live. First one I've seen from you. I appreciate it. Hopefully. Oh, you can't hear me. No good. No good. No sound? Okay. No big deal. We're good. We're good. We're good. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. She's having some technical difficulties. And, apparently, we've lost the ability to hear me. So we are just going to wrap it up tonight. If she happens to pop back in, we'll let her say her goodbyes. But it seems as if the technical difficulties have taken over for us. So we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you would, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. So we're available on all those platforms. And then obviously we're live on Facebook on the Go Rogue Podcast page, and also available on my personal on Facebook. And let's see if we got Hannah back yet. Did we? Maybe not. Doesn't look like we did. I'm holding out to see if she comes back. Had a number of technical difficulties this evening. There you go. Can you hear me? No? Okay. We're going to call it a night. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you tuning in. Obviously, we had some technical difficulties, but we may have her back on sometime. We can get a little deeper into it without the internet issues. But again, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you next time.